Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty, staring at the screens that showed empty space. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he kept holding the cup anyway. The waiting was the worst part. "Sir, we're getting something," said Lieutenant Amy Clark from her station. Her voice was tight with worry. Multiple contacts coming from outside the solar system. Jake set down his cup and walked over to the main display. What he saw made his stomach drop. Hundreds of ships were appearing at the edge of their solar system. They were huge, dark things that looked more like living creatures than machines. Some had what looked like wings. Others had tentacles that moved slowly through space. "How many?" Jake asked. "Computer says over 300 ships, sir. The biggest ones are twice the size of our largest battleship." Jake had been in the Earth Defense Force for 20 years. He had fought pirates and dealt with asteroid threats. But nothing had prepared him for this. Earth had always wondered if aliens existed. Now they had their answer, and it was not good. "Send a message to Earth Command," Jake said. "Tell them we have visitors." On the planet below, Marine Colonel Lisa Hayes was running through the halls of the Pentagon. She had been in a meeting about new training programs when the alert came in. Now, everything had changed? "How long do we have?" She asked the general who was briefing her. "We don't know. The alien ships are just sitting there at the edge of our solar system. They haven't moved closer yet." Lisa looked at the map of Earth's defenses. They had missile bases, fighter jets, and ground troops. Against normal human enemies, they would be ready. Against aliens with technology that could cross space, she was not so sure. What do we know about them? Nothing. This is the first time anyone has seen them. Dr. Ben Carter was in his lab when the call came in. He was a scientist who studied the possibility of alien life. For years, people had made jokes about his work. Today, nobody was laughing. "We need you at the communication center now," the voice on the phone said. "The aliens are trying to talk to us." Ben grabbed his coat and ran to his car. During the drive, his mind was racing. What would aliens want? What would they be like? All his life, he had dreamed of this moment. Now that it was here, he was scared. At the communication center, technicians were working on machines that could translate alien signals. The first message had come through an hour ago. It was being repeated over and over. "Can you understand it?" Ben asked. "Parts of it," said the lead technician. "It seems to be some kind of demand." War Commander Vexthal stood in the control room of his flagship. Around him, his officers were checking their weapons and preparing for another easy victory. In 3,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire had conquered over 10,000 worlds. This little blue planet would be just another number. "Send the standard message," Vexthal ordered. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. The message was always the same. They would tell the planet's people to surrender. Most species gave up right away when they saw the size of the Zephyrian fleet. The smart ones knew they could not win. But as Vexthal looked at the data about this world, something felt different. The planet was covered mostly in water, with large land masses. The air was full of oxygen, which was dangerous to most species. The creatures living there had to be tough just to survive. "War Commander," said his science officer. "The data about this planet is strange." "How so?" "The gravity is very strong. The weather changes quickly and can be violent. There are thousands of different creatures, and many of them hunt and kill each other. Most worlds we conquer are much more peaceful than this." Vexthal frowned. "Are you saying this will be difficult?" "No, sir. Just different." Back on Earth, the translation was finally complete. The alien message was simple and terrifying. "People of the third planet," the message. Sighed. "You will surrender to the Zephyrian Empire. You have 72 of your time periods to decide. If you do not surrender, Your world will be destroyed. We have conquered 10,000 worlds. You cannot win. Choose wisely." Jake Morrison read the message 3 times. Then he looked at his officers. "Well," he said, "I guess we know why they're here." "What are your orders, sir?" asked Amy Clark. Jake thought about his wife and children back on Earth. He thought about all the people who were counting on him to protect them. The aliens had conquered 10,000 worlds. Earth would be just another planet to them. "Send a message to all ships," Jake said. "Prepare for battle. We're going to show these aliens that Earth doesn't give up without a fight." Lisa Hayes was briefing her officers when the alien message came through. The room went quiet as everyone listened. 72 hours, she said when it was over. "That's not much time to prepare." "Ma'am, what can we do against ships like that?" asked one of her captains. Lisa looked at the pictures of the alien fleet. The ships were huge and probably had weapons that could destroy cities. But she had been a Marine for 15 years. She had learned that sometimes you had to fight even when you couldn't win. "We do what Marines do," she said. "We fight." Dr. Ben Carter was studying every piece of information they had about the aliens. Their technology was far ahead of anything humans had. Their ships could travel between stars. Their weapons could probably destroy Earth's entire fleet in minutes. But something in their message bothered him. They had said they conquered 10,000 worlds. That meant they had done this many times before. They had a system, a way of doing things. "They're used to easy victories," Ben said to himself. He picked up the phone to call Earth Command. Maybe, just maybe, humans could surprise them. The countdown had begun. In 72 hours, Earth would either surrender or fight. War Commander Vexthel was confident it would be surrender. In 3,000 years, it always was. But Earth was different from other worlds. The humans living there had been fighting their whole lives. They fought diseases, storms, wild animals, and each other. They had never known a world without struggle. The Zephyrian Empire was about to learn something new. They were about to learn what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. They were about to meet humanity. The 72 hours passed like a bad dream. Captain Sam Torres crouched behind a broken wall, watching the sky burn. The alien ships had started landing 6 hours ago. Everyone thought the war would last days or weeks. Nobody expected what actually happened. "Torres, report," came the voice in his radio. "Sir, the aliens are pulling back," Sam said. He could hardly believe his own words. "They're actually retreating." 3 miles away, the first alien landing site looked like a disaster zone. Huge. Ships that looked like metal insects sat in smoking craters. But instead of aliens pouring out to take over, the ships were lifting off again. Sam had been a soldier for 10 years. He had fought in 3 different wars. But he had never seen anything like this morning's battle. The aliens came down expecting an easy fight. They had energy weapons that could cut through tank armor like paper. They had soldiers in suits that could stop bullets. They even had flying machines that could attack from the air. For the first hour, it looked like Earth was finished. Then something changed. Private Nicole Price was flying her fighter jet when she saw the first alien ship go down. It was one of their small attack craft, sleek and fast. It should have been impossible to hit. But Sergeant Ryan Scott had done something crazy. He had driven a truck full of explosives straight at the alien ship when it landed. The explosion destroyed the truck, the alien ship, and everything else within 200 yards. Ryan Scott died in the explosion, but his radio message was heard by every human fighter in the area. "Take that, you alien bastards." Something about those words spread through the human forces like wildfire. The aliens had better weapons and armor. They had ships that could fly between stars. but they had never fought anyone like humans before. Nicole dove her jet toward an alien ship. Her missiles were gone. Her gun was almost empty. But she didn't pull up. "Nicole, what are you doing?" came the voice on her radio. "Something stupid," she replied. She crashed her fighter into the alien ship. Both exploded in a ball of fire. But before she died, Nicole had shown the aliens something they had never seen before. She had shown them someone who would rather die than lose. War Commander. Vexthal watched the battle reports with growing confusion. This was not how conquests were supposed to go. His forces had better weapons. They had better armor. They should be winning easily. "War Commander," said his tactical officer, "our ground forces are requesting immediate evacuation." "What?" "Why? The humans, sir. They're not fighting like any species we've encountered before." Vexthal looked at the battle. Footage. What he saw made no sense. Human soldiers were continuing to fight, even when they were badly hurt. They were attacking his forces even when they had no chance of winning. Some of them were driving vehicles full of explosives directly into his ships. "This is impossible," Vexthal said. "They must know they cannot win." "Sir, I don't think they care." On the ground, Captain Sam Torres was leading his men through the ruins of what used to be a shopping mall. The aliens had landed here 3 hours ago. Now their ship was a smoking wreck, and the few aliens who had survived were running back to their other ships. "How many casualties?" Sam asked his sergeant. 40%, sir. But we took out their whole landing force." Sam looked around at his men. Half of them were wounded. They were low on ammunition. They should have been defeated hours ago. Instead, they were winning. The problem was not that humans were stronger than aliens. The problem was that humans were crazy. When an alien soldier got shot, he would retreat and call for medical help. When a human soldier got shot, he would keep fighting until he couldn't move anymore. When alien equipment broke, they would fall back and wait for repairs. When human equipment broke, they would fix it with spare parts, tape, and whatever else they could find. The aliens fought like professionals with a job to do. The humans fought like their families' lives depended on it. Because they did. Dr. Ben Carter was in the command center, listening to radio messages from all over the world. The story was the same everywhere. The aliens would land, expecting easy victory. Then they would run into human resistance and start pulling back. "I don't understand it," said General Kate Williams. "Our weapons are no match for theirs. How are we winning?" Ben looked at the data streaming in from battle zones around the world. The answer was becoming clear. "They're not used to this," he said. "Used to what?" "Losing people." Ben pulled up files on other worlds the aliens had conquered. In every case, the local species had surrendered after the first few battles. They saw they couldn't win, so they gave up. Humans were different. When humans saw they couldn't win, they fought harder. "Look at this," Ben said, pointing to intercepts of alien communications. "They're calling us Death Seekers, and the Mad Ones. They can't understand why we keep fighting." On one of the alien ships, Communications Officer Amy Clark was listening to enemy transmissions. She had learned to speak several alien languages in college. Now that skill was saving lives. "What are they saying?" asked Admiral Morrison. "They're scared," Amy said. "Listen to this message. Request immediate reinforcement. The Death World species shows no fear response. Repeat, no fear response. Standard psychological warfare ineffective." Morrison almost smiled. "Death World species? That's what they're calling us. They think Earth is some kind of nightmare planet." Morrison looked out at the alien fleet. Half of their ships were pulling back toward the edge of the solar system. The mighty conquerors of 10,000 worlds were retreating from Earth. "Maybe they're right," he said. Engineer Tony Rodriguez was in the ruins of a military base, working on something that should have been impossible. He had taken parts from a destroyed alien weapon and connected them to a human missile system. "This is either going to work great or blow us all up," he told his team. "Both?" asked one of the other. "Engineers. Yeah, probably both." Tony had always been good at fixing things. In school, he had taken apart radios and computers just to see how they worked. Now he was taking apart alien technology. The aliens had built their weapons to be perfect. Every part was exactly where it should be. Everything worked exactly as designed. Human weapons were different. They were built to be fixed in the field with whatever parts you could find. They were designed by people who knew that things would break at the worst possible time. When Tony mixed alien perfection with human improvisation, the result was something neither species had ever seen before. "Fire it up," he said. The hybrid weapon powered up with a sound like thunder. When it fired, it punched a hole through an alien ship that was 3 miles away. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Their computers couldn't predict what humans would do next, because humans didn't know what they would do next either. War Commander Vexthal received the final battle reports as the sun was setting on Earth. In 1 day of fighting, he had lost more ships and soldiers than in the previous 100 conquests combined. "Sir," said his science officer, "I think I understand the problem. Explain." "Every other species we've conquered evolved on peaceful worlds. Their planets were safe, with few predators and stable environments. When they developed intelligence, they used it to make their lives easier and more comfortable." Vexthal waited for him to continue. "This world is different, sir. It's a death world. The creatures here evolved in constant danger. They had to fight for everything: food, shelter, survival. When they developed intelligence, they used it to become better at fighting." Vexthal looked at the images of Earth. It looked so peaceful. From space, blue oceans, white clouds, green continents. How could such a beautiful world produce such terrifying creatures? "What are your recommendations?" he asked. The science officer was quiet for a long moment. "Sir, I recommend we leave. Immediately." For the first time in 3,000 years, War Commander Vexthal was afraid. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Scott looked at the alien command ship through his binoculars. It was the size of a small city, floating 300 feet above the ground. Getting inside, it should have been impossible. "You sure about this, sir?" asked Corporal Maria Lopez. "No," Ryan said. "But we're doing it anyway." The plan was simple and completely insane. They would use a captured alien shuttle to fly up to the command ship. Then they would pretend to be returning aliens until they got close enough to board. It was the kind of plan that only worked in movies, which was probably why it might actually work. Ryan had volunteered for the mission after his brother died in the first wave of attacks. The aliens had killed Steve Scott with a weapon that turned him into ash in seconds. Now Ryan wanted payback, but this wasn't just about revenge. The command ship had computers full of alien intelligence. If they could capture even one of those computers, Earth would have a huge advantage. "Remember," Ryan told his team as they climbed into the stolen shuttle, "we're not trying to destroy the ship. We just need to get their data and get out." "And if we can't get out?" asked Lopez. Ryan smiled grimly. "Then we make sure they remember us." General Kate Williams was in a bunker beneath Washington, D.C., coordinating the global resistance. On her screens, she could see battle reports from every continent. The aliens were trying to establish control over major cities, but they were having problems. "Ma'am, we're getting reports from London," said one of her assistants. "The aliens took Parliament, but they can't hold it. Civilian resistance is too strong." "What about Tokyo?" "Same story. The aliens control the government buildings, but people are attacking them with everything they can find. Rocks, kitchen knives, homemade bombs. Kate looked at the global map. Red dots showed where aliens had landed. But instead of spreading out like a normal invasion, the red dots were actually getting smaller. "They're not used to this," she said. "They expect people to obey once they're conquered." But humans were not obeying. Instead, they were fighting back in ways the aliens had never seen. Teenagers were building bombs from chemistry sets. Grandmothers were sniping alien soldiers from apartment windows. Children were acting as messengers and spies. The aliens had conquered worlds where war was fought by professional soldiers. They had never faced a planet where every citizen was willing to fight. Engineer Tony Rodriguez was in his workshop, surrounded by alien technology. In the past week, he had taken apart 15 different alien devices. Each one taught him something new about how they worked. "Tony, what the hell is that thing?" asked his assistant, looking at his latest creation. "I'm not sure," Tony said honestly. "But I built it from alien power cells, human targeting systems, and parts from 3 different vehicles." The device looked like a cross between a satellite dish and a cannon. Tony had been working on it for 18 hours straight, surviving on coffee and determination. What's it supposed to do? "If my calculations are right, it should overload alien ship computers from up to 10 miles away." "And if your calculations are wrong?" Tony grinned. "Then it might explode and take out half the city." That was the difference between human and alien engineering. Aliens built things to work perfectly under controlled conditions. Humans built things to work well enough under terrible conditions. When Tony's device powered up, every alien ship within range started having computer problems. Their weapons stopped working. Their communications failed. Some of them even crashed. Aliens had never encountered technology that was designed to fail in interesting ways. War Commander Vexthal was getting reports from all over the galaxy. Word of the Earth conflict was spreading, and not in a good way. "Sir," said his communications officer, "we're receiving messages from 14 different conquered worlds. They're asking if the reports about Earth are true." "What reports?" "That we're losing, sir." Vexthal felt something he had never experienced before: shame. In 3,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire had never failed to conquer a world. Their reputation was built on being unstoppable. Now species across the galaxy were hearing that a primitive planet was defeating them. "Sir, we have a bigger problem," said his tactical officer. 3 of our conquered worlds have stopped sending tribute. They're claiming they need to keep their resources for local defense. Vexthal understood. Immediately. If the mighty Zephyrians could be defeated, then maybe other species could fight back too. "How many ships do we have available?" he asked. "We can gather another 1,000 ships within a month, sir." "Do it. We end this now." Pilot Commander Steve. Bailey was leading a formation of converted civilian ships toward the alien fleet. His warship used to be a cargo hauler. Most of his weapons were bolted on from the outside. His crew was made up of volunteers who had never been in combat before. It should have been a suicide mission. "All ships, this is Commander Bailey," he said into his radio. "Remember, we're not trying to win. We're just trying to hurt them." The alien ships were sleek and powerful. The human ships were patched together from spare parts and hope. But the humans had something the aliens didn't understand. They were willing to die for each other. When Bailey's ship was hit by alien fire, he didn't retreat. Instead, he flew directly toward the alien ship that had shot him. "Bailey, what are you doing?" came a voice on the radio. "Something they won't expect," he replied. He crashed his ship into the alien vessel. Both ships exploded, but Bailey's sacrifice allowed 3 other human ships to escape. The aliens were learning that humans didn't just fight to win. They fought to make sure the enemy paid a price for every victory. Intelligence Officer Rachel Green was in a secure facility, reading intercepted alien communications. What she was learning changed everything. "General Williams, you need to see this," she said, calling her superior. "What is it?" "I've been analyzing alien military doctrine. Every species they've conquered before us followed the same pattern. They fought with professional armies. When their armies were defeated, they surrendered. And we're the first species they've encountered that doesn't have a single military. Our soldiers, police, and civilians all fight together. They can't defeat us by destroying our army because everyone is the army." Rachel pulled up more data. "Look at this. On every other world they conquered, the local species tried to negotiate after the first defeat. They offered tribute, territory, anything to avoid more fighting. But we haven't tried to negotiate at all," Williams said. "Exactly. They're waiting for us to offer surrender terms. But we're not going to surrender. They can't understand that." The aliens had built their entire strategy around the idea that intelligent species were reasonable. They assumed that any species smart enough to build cities would be smart enough to surrender when they were. OUTMATCHED thought they had never encountered a species that was too stubborn to quit. Dr. Ben Carter was studying video footage of alien soldiers when he made a disturbing discovery. "General, I think I know why they're having problems with us," he said. "Tell me, look at this footage. Watch how the alien soldiers move." Williams watched the video. The alien soldiers moved carefully, taking cover, avoiding unnecessary risks. "They're trying not to die," Carter said. "Every species they've conquered before was the same way. Individuals tried to survive. But humans are different." He showed her footage of human soldiers in combat. They moved differently. They took risks. They seemed almost eager to fight. "We evolved on a world where dying was normal," Carter said. "Most species evolve on worlds where individual survival is the top priority. We evolved on a world where group survival was more important than individual survival. So when a human sees a threat to their group, they don't think about their own survival first. They think about stopping the threat." Williams understood. "They can't predict our behavior because we don't behave like other species." "Exactly. To them, we look insane." War Commander Vexthal was reading the latest reports when his science officer approached him. "Sir, I've completed my analysis of the human species," the officer said. "And, sir, I don't think we can conquer them." Vexthal looked up in surprise. "Explain." "Every other species we've conquered shared certain traits. They valued individual survival. They were willing to compromise to avoid destruction. They could be reasoned with." The science officer paused. "Humans are different, sir. They seem to value their group's survival more than their own lives. They cannot be reasoned with when their territory is threatened, and they appear to become more dangerous when they are losing. That's impossible." "Sir, I've run the numbers. In every battle, humans fight harder when they're outnumbered. They take bigger risks when they're losing. They seem to be motivated by the possibility of defeat, rather than discouraged by it." Vexthal thought about this. In 3,000 years of conquest, he had never encountered anything like it. "What do you recommend?" The science officer was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that no Zephyrian had ever said before. "Sir, I recommend we withdraw from this system and never return." Chief Engineer Maria Lopez felt the ground shake beneath her feet. The alien planet killer weapon was working its way toward Earth's core. In 6 hours, the planet would split apart like a cracked egg. "How much time do we have?" asked Dr. Alex Turner, the physicist who had been working with her for the past 3 days. "Maybe 6 hours," Maria said. "Maybe less." They were standing in a facility that had been built 2 miles underground. Around them, hundreds of engineers and scientists were working on what everyone called the crazy plan. The alien weapon scent. Energy pulses deep into the planet. These pulses were designed to break apart the tectonic plates and cause the core to destabilize. It had worked on 47 other worlds, but Earth was different. The alien weapon assumes the planet has a normal core, Alex said. But Earth's core is larger and more active than most planets. So instead of breaking the planet apart, we might be able to redirect the energy. Maria looked at the massive machine they had built. It was part human technology, part alien technology, and part pure desperation. If it worked, it would turn the alien weapon against their own fleet. If it failed, everyone would die anyway. "Are you sure this will work?" asked one of the other engineers. "No," Maria said, "but it's better than doing nothing." Above ground, the world was ending. Cities were collapsing as earthquakes shook the planet. The oceans were boiling. The sky was full of fire, but humans were still fighting. Pilot, Commander Steve Bailey, was flying his fighter through clouds of burning debris. His plane was damaged, his weapons were almost gone, and the world was literally falling apart beneath him. He should have been running for shelter. Instead, he was attacking the alien ships. "Bailey, get out of there," came a voice on his radio. "The whole area is coming apart." "Not yet," Steve replied. "I've got one more shot." He dove toward an alien cruiser. The ship was trying to escape the chaos, pulling up toward space. Steve followed it. His fighter was falling apart around him. Warning lights were flashing. The engine was making sounds that engines should never make, but he kept flying. The alien ship was almost out of the atmosphere when Steve caught up with it. He fired his last missile and watched it streak toward the enemy. The missile hit just as Steve's fighter finally gave up and exploded. Both ships went down in balls of fire. As he died, Steve Bailey was smiling. War Commander Vexthale watched his planet-killer weapon tear Earth apart and felt no satisfaction. This should have been his greatest victory. Instead, it felt like failure. "Sir," said his tactical officer, "human resistance is not decreasing." "What do you mean?" "Even with their planet breaking apart, they're still attacking us. Look at this." On the screen, Vexthal could see human ships diving through fire and debris to attack his fleet. The planet beneath them was cracking open, the atmosphere was burning, and still they fought. "This is madness," he said. "Sir, we're getting reports from the surface. Human ground forces are still fighting, even in areas where the ground is literally splitting apart." Vexthal had seen many species die. Usually, when their world was ending, they spent their last moments trying to save themselves or their families. These humans were spending their last moments trying to kill his soldiers. "Sir, we have a problem," said his science officer. "The planet killer is not working as expected." "Explain." "The energy readings are wrong, sir. Instead of destabilizing the core, it seems to be redirecting somehow." Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. "Sir, energy surge from the planet. It's heading directly for us." On the screens, Vexthal could see a massive beam of energy rising from Earth's surface. It was the combined power of his own planet-killer weapon, redirected and amplified by human engineering. The beam tore through space and struck his flagship. The shields held for exactly 3 seconds before failing completely. As his ship broke apart around him, Vexthal had one final thought. These humans had turned his ultimate weapon against him while their own world was ending. They truly were. Insane. 3,000 miles away, Maria Lopez and Alex Turner watched their improvised weapon fire. The underground facility was collapsing around them, but their machine was working. "Did we get them?" Alex asked as the ceiling started to fall. "We got some of them," Maria said. "Maybe it will be enough." The facility collapsed on top of them. But their sacrifice had saved millions of lives on other worlds. The alien fleet was broken, their command ship destroyed. On the surface, intelligence. Officer Rachel Green was coordinating the final evacuation when she saw something impossible. The earthquakes were stopping. "That's not possible," she said into her radio. "The planet killer should still be working." "Check your readings," came the reply from the science station. Rachel looked at her instruments again. The alien weapon had stopped. Somehow, Maria and Alex had not just redirected it, they had shut it down completely. "How did they do it?" she asked. "We're not sure, but it looks like they overloaded the alien weapon with its own energy. It burned itself out." Around the world, humans were climbing out of shelters and bunkers. The planet was damaged, but not destroyed. And in space, the alien fleet was in chaos. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his new flagship, UES Defiance, built from the wreckage of destroyed alien ships and human determination. "Sir, we're getting surrender signals from the remaining alien vessels," reported Lieutenant Amy Clark. "Surrender?" Jake couldn't believe it. "They want to surrender to us?" "Yes, sir. They're requesting terms." Jake looked out at the debris field. That used to be the alien fleet. Dozens of their ships had been destroyed. The rest were fleeing toward the edge of the solar system. "Tell them we'll accept their surrender," Jake said. "But they leave our system immediately and never come back." "Sir, they're also asking for safe passage to the nearest Zephyrian base." Jake thought about that. These aliens had tried to destroy his world. They had killed millions of humans. Part of him wanted to hunt down every last one of them, but another part of him, the part that made him human, felt something like pity for them. "Granted," he said, "but if we ever see them again, we won't be so generous." Captain Sam Torres was leading a team through the wreckage of an alien command post when they found something unexpected. "Sir, you need to see this," said one of his. Soldiers in the ruins, they found an alien officer. He was badly injured, but still alive. More importantly, he was trying to communicate. "Help," the alien said in broken English. "Please help." Sam looked at the creature. It had tried to conquer his world. It had killed his friends. By all rights, he should leave it to die. Instead, he called for a medic. "Why are you helping me?" The alien asked, as the medic worked on its injuries. Sam thought about that question. "Because that's what humans do," he said finally. The alien looked confused. "But I am your enemy." "You were our enemy," Sam corrected. "Now you're just hurt." Later, that same alien would return to the Zephyrian Empire and tell them something that changed their understanding of humans forever. He told them that humans were not just fierce warriors. They were also capable of mercy, even toward their enemies. It was a combination that the galaxy had never seen before. Dr. Ben Carter was analyzing the final battle reports when he realized something that would change everything. "We didn't just win," he told the assembled leaders. "We did something no other species has ever done." "What do you mean?" asked General Williams. "We made the Zephyrians retreat. In 3,000 years, they have conquered 10,000 worlds, but they've never failed to conquer a world they committed to taking. So now every species in the galaxy knows that the Zephyrians can be beaten. We've broken their reputation for being unstoppable." The room was quiet as everyone understood what that meant. "There are going to be rebellions," Williams said. "Probably," Ben agreed. "And when those rebellions start, what do you think those species are going to want from us?" The answer was obvious. They would want help. They would want to learn how humans had defeated the undefeatable enemy. Earth had not just won a war. They had started a revolution that would spread across the galaxy. And at the center of that revolution would be the species that lived on the blue planet, the species that had turned their world's violent history into their greatest strength, species that other worlds would learn to call the liberators, or more often, the crazy ones who made the Zephyrians run away. Captain Chris Anderson stood on the bridge of the UES Explorer. humanity's first interstellar ship. It was built from captured alien technology and human engineering, a combination that still confused alien scientists across the galaxy. "Sir, we're getting hails from 3 different ships," said Communications Officer Nicole Price. "They all want to talk to us." "What kind of ships?" "2 cargo vessels and what looks like a diplomatic transport, all from different species." Chris looked out at the space around them. This was the Kepler system, 40 light years from Earth. It used to be a major trade hub for the Zephyrian Empire. Now it was something else entirely. "Put the first one through," he said. The alien that appeared on the screen looked like a cross between a lizard and a bird. It was speaking in a language that their computers could barely translate. "Greetings, Death World species," the alien said. "We are the Kethver traders. We wish to offer tribute for safe passage." Chris frowned. "Tribute? We're not pirates. You are the ones who defeated the great empire, yes? We offer 20% of our cargo for safe passage through your territory." "This isn't our territory," Chris said. "You can pass freely." The alien looked confused. "But you conquered this system from the Zephyrians." "We liberated it," Chris corrected. "There's a difference." After the call ended, Nicole looked at her captain. "Sir, why did they think we wanted tribute?" "Because that's how the Zephyrians did things," Chris said. "Every species they conquered had to pay tribute. These traders probably don't know any other way." The second call was from a species that looked like walking trees. They were even more nervous than the first aliens. "Great warriors," their spokesman said, "we have heard of your victory over the metal ship Empire. We ask for your protection." "Protection from what?" "The Zephyrians still control our home world. We escaped in secret. If they find us, they will kill us all." Chris looked at his crew. They had come out here to explore, not to fight wars. But these aliens needed help. "We'll see what we can do," he said. The third call changed everything. "Human ship," said a voice that sent chills down Chris's spine. "This is War Commander Vexthil of the Zephyrian Empire. I request permission to board your vessel." The bridge went silent. Everyone remembered that name. Vexthil had led the invasion of Earth. He should have been their greatest enemy. "Sir, it could be a trap," said Nicole. "Maybe," Chris said. "But I'm curious what he wants." An hour later, Vexthil stood in the Explorer's conference room. He looked older than in the video footage from Earth, smaller somehow. "Why are you here?" Chris asked. "I have been exiled from my people," Vexthil said. "The failure at Earth was too great. I am no longer welcome in the Empire. So, I wish to serve as an ambassador between our species." Chris almost laughed. "You want to work for us? After trying to conquer our world?" "I have learned something about humans that my people refuse to accept," Vexthil said. "You are not conquerors. You are something far more dangerous." "What do?" "You mean? You are liberators. And liberation is more threatening to an empire than conquest could ever be." Admiral Jake Morrison was in his new office on Luna Station when the reports started coming in. Human ships were exploring the galaxy. And everywhere they went, the same thing was happening. "Sir, we're getting requests for military aid from 14 different species," said his aide. "They all want help overthrowing Zephyrian rule. And what are our captains telling them? Most are offering humanitarian aid and sharing our defensive technologies. A few are providing direct military support." Jake rubbed his temples. "We're going to end up at war with the entire Zephyrian Empire. Sir, according to these reports, we already are. 3 Zephyrian fleets have been destroyed by rebel forces using human weapons and tactics." On the screens around Jake's office, he could see the galaxy changing. Red areas showed Zephyrian control. Blue areas showed human influence. Green areas showed worlds that had declared independence. The green areas were spreading like wildfire. Dr. Ben Carter was giving a lecture to alien diplomats in the new Galactic Council, building on Mars. His audience included representatives from dozens of worlds that had been freed from Zephyrian rule. The key to understanding human success, he said, is understanding our evolutionary history. He brought up a hologram of Earth. Most species evolved on worlds where cooperation was rewarded and aggression was punished. But Earth was different. On Earth, the species that survived were the ones that could fight together against common threats. A delegate from the Kethver worlds raised a claw. But Professor Carter, fighting together is not unusual. Many species form alliances. True, Ben said, but most species form temporary alliances for specific goals. Humans form permanent bonds that last beyond the immediate threat. He showed footage of human soldiers in combat. Watch how they fight. Each human is willing to die for any other human, even strangers. They don't just fight for their own survival, or even their own group's survival. They fight for the survival of their entire species. A former Zephyrian in the audience spoke up. This is why we could not defeat you. Partly, yes. But there's more. Ben brought up new images. Humans helping alien refugees. Human doctors treating wounded Zephyrians. Human engineers sharing technology freely. We don't just fight for humans, he said. We fight for anyone we consider part of our group. And humans are very good at expanding their definition of our group. The room was silent. This is why liberation is more dangerous to an empire than conquest, Ben continued. A conqueror wants to rule you. A liberator wants you to rule yourself. And once you've tasted freedom, you can never go back to slavery. General Kate Williams was coordinating the defense of 12 different systems when she got the call that changed everything. General, we're getting a transmission from the Zephyrian home world, said her communications officer. What do they want? To negotiate a peace treaty. Kate stared at the screen. They want to negotiate? With us? Yes, ma'am. They're offering to recognize human control over Earth and any worlds that choose to join us. In exchange for what? They want us to stop helping their rebellious subjects. Kate almost laughed. They think we can control the rebellions? Apparently, yes. The truth was that humans weren't controlling the rebellions. They were just providing an example. Once other species saw that the Zephyrians could be beaten, they started fighting back on their own. Humans offered help when asked, but most of the fighting was being done by the species who wanted their freedom back. Tell them we'll consider their offer, Kate said. But the terms will have to be much better than that. Engineer Tony Rodriguez was on the planet Kelter Prime, helping the local species rebuild their cities. The Zephyrians had abandoned the world after a massive uprising, leaving behind damaged infrastructure and confused civilians. How do you make it work? Asked Kelleth, the local engineering chief. Tony looked at the power plant they were rebuilding. It was half human technology, half alien technology, and completely improvised. The secret, Tony said, is not trying to make it perfect. I do not understand. Human technology is designed to fail safely. When something breaks, it doesn't destroy. Everything else, it just stops working, and then you fix it. Tony showed Kelleth a human-designed circuit board. See these extra connections? They're backup systems. If the main system fails, the backup takes over. If the backup fails, there's a third system. If all three fail, the whole thing shuts down safely instead of exploding. But this makes the system less efficient. Yes, but it makes it more reliable. And reliability is more important than efficiency. Kelleth studied the design. Your people expect things to break. Our people know things will break, Tony corrected, so we plan for it. This was another thing that confused other species about humans. Most aliens tried to build perfect systems that would never fail. Humans built imperfect systems that could handle failure. It was the difference between a species that had evolved on a peaceful world and a species that had evolved on a world where volcanoes, earthquakes, and ice ages were normal. Captain Sam Torres was leading a mixed unit of humans and former Zephyrian subjects on the planet Vexthol. The local population had asked for help dealing with war crimes committed during the occupation. "Sir, we found another mass grave," reported Sergeant Lisa Green. "Looks like about 300 civilians." Sam looked at the site. The Zephyrians had killed anyone who spoke out against their rule. Men, women, children, it didn't matter. "What do we do with the Zephyrian soldiers we captured?" asked Green Dot. That was the question Sam had been dreading. The local population wanted revenge. They wanted the Zephyrian soldiers executed. "We give them a fair trial," Sam said. "Sir, these people killed children." "I know, and they'll be punished. According to the law." Whose law? Sam thought about that. Human law? Local law? There was no universal law in the galaxy. "We'll figure it out," he said, "but we do it right." That night, Sam was writing his report when one of the local leaders came to see him. "Captain Torres," the alien said, "my people do not understand your decision about the war criminals." "Which part?" "You are giving them trials. You are providing them with defenders. You are treating them as if they have rights." "They do have rights." The alien looked confused. "But they are enemies. They killed our families." Sam put down his pen. "Look, I understand your anger. If